Hello, hello, hello. Hi,
Hey,
guys. I'm going to wait a minute and see who jumps on here, but it is Lindsey once again, back again to annoy you. No. And this is RJ, but you met him like, what was it, 2 weeks ago you came on?
it was last week actually.
What? That
It's only
feels
been a
like,
week.
that's so crazy. It felt like a long week though.
Yeah,
So,
time is a flat circle.
what is, what is that from? I just saw,
Uh,
it
I
was a
don't
good
know.
movie.
Is it? I don't know what original movie it's from, but like Interstellar kind of uses it a little bit.
Oh,
Tenet
really?
uses it. Um, Oppenheimer probably had it in it.
I don't know why they kept saying it in this movie, like funny, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
Anyways, I get stuck on this stuff. It is a flat circle, isn't it?
it does feel like it. Like it's amazing how a week can feel like 2 days, and then 2 days will sometimes feel like a month,
It's so
and then a
wild.
month will feel like one day.
I
Almost
always,
April.
yeah, I know. How did this happen? It's so crazy. I was just
I
minding
don't
my
know.
own business, and then I know, like Christmas is gonna be here before I know it. Hey guys, how are you? We're gonna talk about self acceptance and expectations. So we can go ahead and give it a start. I want RJ to start off and give you guys a little bit about self acceptance,
Yeah.
sir.
So something that I'm for those who don't know, RJ,
Oh
from
yeah,
Untapped Keg, no problem. Like, yeah, this is I get it. And I just want people to understand, kind of have that background a little bit. So I haven't drank in over 10 years. I'm certified This Naked Mind, uh, certified by This Naked Mind as an alcohol-free life coach. I created a 12-week course, Self-Discovery After Alcohol. And really, like, my journey with being who I am today didn't start till 6 years after I stopped drinking. And that was when I discovered that, I needed to start working on things. And really the impetus of it was my ex-wife asking me for a divorce. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to go get therapy finally. Okay, I'm going to go do some of the things that I should have done, got diagnosed with ADHD and started to learn what my wounds were and things like that. And with self acceptance, this really starts about 2 years ago. And when I record the podcast, my ex wife would take the kids out if they were there so that they wouldn't make any noise or anything. And I was having a low mental health day. And with that low mental health day, they came in and they yelled, "Daddy, I missed you. I love you." And because I had been working for 2 years on increasing my self-awareness and everything, I've heard this really quiet voice say, "How could you love such a piece of shit?"
Mm,
And it was super quiet. And it was the first time I actually heard it.
wow.
And I realized, oh, I'm holding it against my kids that they love their dad. That's a problem. Like, where did that come from? And when I looked in the mirror, I realized, like, I really do hate myself. And looking back at my life, oh, this is not something that is new. I've been acting from this place my entire life. And so when it comes to like self-acceptance and, self-hatred and a lot of what we feel, like I was looking in the mirror and I saw a void that had been there when I was drinking. And self-acceptance is really just allowing yourself to be who you are, right? Getting that understanding of yourself and allowing you to be that who that is. And that was something that took me quite a while to be able to just say it's okay to be who you are. And I didn't jump to, "Hey RJ, I love you. Like, you're doing amazing. Look at all the things that you've done. Like, you're such a good looking guy. Like, you are such a great dad. You're a great partner." All this stuff. No, I'm still, to tell you the truth, last night I had to identify some thoughts that were negative about myself. What worked for me was just looking at the evidence and being like, am I really a piece of shit?
Yeah.
It's like I've done some things that would qualify as that, but am I? Like, what percentage of my life were those? So, at the high end, 5%. 5% of the time I've been a piece of shit. That's at the really high end of my life, if I really want to be really hard on myself.
Mhm.
So does that discount the other 95% of my life that I haven't been?
No.
So can I say that I'm a great person or I'm good? I'm not there yet, but can I just start with, you're okay? I was like, yeah, that feels okay. And so I just look at myself for any time I looked at something I did, I'm like, yeah, that was okay. Yeah, you did what you're supposed to do. Instead of being like, wow, you didn't do that. Like somebody would have been able to do that way easier. It's no wonder why your wife is leaving you. Like really just driving it in, right? That's what my self-talk would have been. Um, and so I like to say, if you see that your self-talk is really harsh, instead of trying to get it positive, just get it to neutral and take that progress. It doesn't mean when you notice that your self-talk is harsh, you get mad at yourself and you're like, I can't believe I did it again, right? Because that's a circle. It's, oh, I see you there. Okay, that's not actually true. This is what is actually true. I know it's true. And you just
Mhm.
move it back to that neutral, and that is something that can take some time to get through. But for example, like last night I was thinking about myself and I was like, okay, I have problem sharing my story. Like I'm always like, people are gonna think that I'm cocky, I'm full of myself, like I think I know it all. And that's not the case at all. And I was like, okay, who do I think I am? And the first answer that came to my mind was, well, I'm nobody.
Oh shit.
And it's like, well, I'm not nobody, I'm RJ. And I thought saying I was nobody, oh, that's humble. That's something that I should say. That is what I should at first like go to. And then I had to realize, wait, that's keeping me stuck. That's telling me that I'm not worthy. Like I'm literally a nobody. And that is probably what a lot of like where I've been stuck and why I've had um it takes me a little while to warm up and like talk to people because I think I'm a nobody. And now I can take that and be like, well, I don't think that I know everything. I really don't think that I know everything. I'm open to other people's points of view and others people's way of being and all of that. But I do enjoy sharing my experience. And I think I do have something that people benefit from. And that's also the evidence that I found as I share. So I can just be RJ. And there's nothing saying that like I think I'm this star, I know everything or things like that. It's just who I am. And I can do that and that's okay. And
Yeah.
so as you start to accept yourself, right? And like I said, accepting yourself is really just you're understanding yourself. And through that understanding, you give yourself the permission to allow yourself to be. And that's self-acceptance. And really, what is being your authentic self? Your authentic self is allowing you to be who you are,
Yeah.
not trying to change who you are. And so like that's kind of the simplest terms that I've been able to break self-acceptance down to.
Yeah.
And it really starts with that understanding for me.
Dang. Very good stuff. Yeah, because it's such a broad thing to talk about. I was curious of where you were going to begin at with that, and that's just perfect. God, how do I follow that up? Gosh, there I go too, right? Um, but no, I can identify with a lot of that, and especially the past few years, especially this has come up to where I'm sober for years, right? And I know that I'm not supposed to have everything figured out, like far from it, right? But I felt like, when these thoughts were like popping up, that I started feeling like there's something missing still, and I'm like trying to figure it out. And I'm like, maybe I'm not really like okay with myself, and I'm working on it now, and I wish I could say that it's solved, but it's not. It's a work in progress, and I think that's why, I gather so much from other people, and that's really like just tidbits here and there of how they did it, because I think it's a common struggle,
I
a lot.
agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, because it's Adam said to me one day, he's like, all of your wherever all of everything of what you're saying is coming from I am not enough. And I was like, yeah. And then like weeks later, I was like, hey, I'm not enough. I just figured it out. But I am enough, but just recognizing the way that I would talk to myself. And I like the neutral idea because it is hard. It's difficult. And everybody knows, I'm sure, to go from, the things that I would say to myself when I make a mistake is usually when it is. Um,
Yes.
and just going, oh, well, you're so great, Lindsay. It's like, that's not happening. Like, I'm sorry. It's just the truth.
Mhm.
Um, and I also, what do you think about affirmations? Because I believe there's a difference between that and um like incantations, like where what do you think about that? I want to know.
I think depending on how you use them, they
Yeah.
can be powerful, right? But like this is where that just always being positive, it becomes toxic, right? And by toxic, I mean it becomes bad for your mental health. It really does. And if you always think that everything has to be good, but you're not in a good state of mind, if you think everything has to be good and you're in a low point because there's a lot of stress in your life, like that toxic positivity, no, I should be this, I should be this, I should be this, is going to dig you deeper and keep you stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes the affirmations, like for me, my affirmation was, you are okay.
Yeah.
Right. So understanding what's going to work for you, like try on, like, hey, you've been doing a lot of work and you look really good right now.
Hmm.
You've been eating better, you've been working out, like you look pretty good. You could say pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And see if that feels good to you. And if it does.
Yeah.
If you say it and you feel kind of icky and it's like you don't believe it, then don't use it. Use something that's a smaller step. You don't have to go right to the very end. Like I said,
Yeah.
even right now, if I sat there and I said, RJ, I love you. You're crushing it. You're killing it. You're putting yourself out there. You're doing really good. That's still just, can I say I like myself? I can say that now. And that's something that has really, like, finding those steps, finding that progress that you can make and what that next step could be is what allowed me to really work to where I am right now.
Yeah, absolutely. JF said I was at a meeting recently and we were talking about the seventh step. They said that there's a big distinction between being humble and being humiliated. Yeah, I've heard that one. I've heard meetings where they
Yeah.
talk about that, and it's I didn't know what humility was for a very long time. Like I didn't know what the word meant. I didn't know what
Right.
integrity meant either, but I start to understand them, But
And that's where, like, I look at like self-acceptance, right?
mhm,
Like you're talking about being humble and humiliated and humility, integrity. Take these words and define them for yourself. Like find metaphors that allow you to be able to use them in your life. And so for me being humble, it's not that I'm nobody. It's that I'm RJ and I'm on the same plane as everybody else. Right? I'm not
yeah,
on a pedestal. I'm nobody special. Like I still, that is, if I think that I'm special, now that's being arrogant. That's being cocky. That's like my worst fear is that I'm arrogant and I'm cocky and I think that I'm just better than everybody else. And the truth is that I don't. But like that humbleness is that I'm on the same level as everybody else.
yeah,
And so if you can create your own meanings for that, it can help you, like forgiveness. I had a I I held grudges. Listen, I am a world champion. If they had the Olympic event of holding grudges, I would be a gold medalist. Like I remember everything everybody said to me that really hurt me and I've still hold it against them, or I did.
mhm,
And you would look at forgiveness and it's like the way that we would talk about forgiveness, like it's forgive and forget. It's just move on from it.
right,
And the way that I had to define it was my energy. Like, what am I doing with my energy and what do I want to do with it? That event happened. That person did that thing and it hurt. Am I still giving that event and that person my energy by holding this grudge? And if I'm doing that, is that where I want my energy, or do I want to put it into something I want to do right now and work towards in the future? And that helped me to learn what forgiveness is and be able to implement it into my own life.
Mm.
And that's not giving people a pass for what they did. That's still allowing myself to hold myself accountable for things that I did. Doesn't mean that I'm not holding myself accountable. But what I'm saying is, well, it happened and I can't dwell on it. I learned from it. And so let's take the energy that was stuck there and use it for something good, which is moving forward in the future.
You brought up an excellent point. And I relate it to trauma. But it could be anything, like you said, like even, holding a resentment or something traumatic that happened to us, or even something small, but is affecting us in the present moment. And I've had that happen, and I don't know how I can stay sober long, honestly, if I'm stuck in it, because it's affecting the day. Like, it's affecting me right now. Something that happened 5 years ago, whatever, 10 years ago, right? And so it is my responsibility, I believe, in my opinion, to go to a therapist, to talk to somebody about it that knows what they're doing. I don't mean just like getting it out to anybody, because I really do believe having a safe person in a safe space to be able to let some of those things out is important. I really do. And I've been shown that multiple times, And so, and the
Yeah.
toxic positivity, it doesn't really get talked about enough. And when I first heard someone say that, I think it was like a online article or something, or like on a YouTube, and I'm like, what is that? I'm positive. And like, I was like using drugs at the time, but I'm like, I'm positive. I'm like, what? But it's almost like I've had that happen with me in sobriety, to where I do that. Not so much anymore, but it's a way to like stuff my feelings, and invalidate my feelings,
Mhm.
because if I'm like, well, you should be happy, I do the shoulds. And then I judge my feelings and say, you have it so good, Lindsey. Like, you literally, like, that is not even bad trauma compared to what other people had to deal with. Like, you should not be feeling like this. You have years sober. Like, you should know this. And it's like, whoa, it's like, calm down. Stop beating myself up. But it's because, an expectation that I just know how to do things. And I'm like, and it's like, where does that come from? Because it's not like, I know it's not real, but it's there.
And that's that gap between the knowing and feeling, right? Like, how much stuff do you know intellectually, but when it comes time to do it for yourself, you don't. And
Yeah.
like, you have to be really conscious to do those things that you know are right. And then giving yourself the grace to have to learn them and be top of mind about it, right? And it takes a lot of energy and brain power when you're first, especially those deep habits that we had.
Yeah.
Um, and so giving yourself the grace to build that bridge between that knowing and then just like feeling, which is really just doing it almost on autopilot. Like, when it moves from you having to be conscious to do it to the subconscious just doing it automatically, that takes some time, and that's building that bridge. And yeah, like Elle was saying in the chat too, like stopping and shifting the negative self-talk while acknowledging thoughts and feelings as they come up lately has been a game changer. It doesn't sound right anymore. It was a habit, not truth. And that's huge. Like, it's true. And the more that we really, and Noel, yes, it takes practice. It really does. And as Lindsey said, like, when it comes to the trauma cycles and stuff like that, and you work with therapists, like, that's that takes practice as well. Where in moments where you're not triggered, that is the time to practice these good coping skills. That is the time to take and use them and implement them so that when you are triggered, which, what does triggered really mean? Well, it just means a heightened emotional state. And they can happen when you're going through good emotions, not just bad emotion, or there's no such thing as good and bad emotions, right?
Yeah, I do.
There's pleasant and unpleasant emotions. So it doesn't just happen at the unpleasant emotions. It happens during the pleasant emotions too. And I don't think we give enough credit to, or not, we don't talk enough about how during pleasant emotions is when a lot of times that triggers do occur.
Yeah.
When those triggers occur, what do you have to go to be able to cope and notice it and like go through it in a different way? And that's what that practice is all about.
Yeah. Noel said complacency is a killer with coping skills.
Yes. Yes. Where you're like, oh, I learned this new coping skill. I'll be able to do it when my emotions are running high.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, okay. It's just like that new play coach told us right before the game. Yep, we're gonna run it to perfection. Right when everybody's all the stuff is happening. So no, unfortunately that's not how it works. You might get
I
lucky in like the first time you'll be able to do it, but after that, will you? Or will it be afterwards you look back and you're like, wow, I really continued that cycle and I didn't interrupt it like I wanted to.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you don't have to shame yourself either, right? You don't have to judge yourself like I should have done better. You could say, well, now I know what I could do. And so let's work on that. And the next time you might notice in the middle of the cycle instead of at the end.
Yeah.
How much progress is that? Like, that's huge. You're in the middle of doing it. Like, parenting is such a great example, and I love to use it. But this works with siblings, family members, where something happens and you just get, like, for me, I get to the point of almost yelling at my kids. And I don't want to yell at my kids. I get loud, but I don't necessarily yell. And so when I notice that I'm like really mad and I'm about to start yelling, it's like, oh, I need to pull back. Okay, what am I really upset about? Is it what they're doing? Is it, again, the expectations that I'm putting on them? They're 6 and 4. Am I putting 16 and 14-year-old expectations on them? What is it that is really bothering me here? Is it life? And then I can, and I can do this in a minute, maybe 2, and just realize, oh, that's what, give myself that understanding, right? That self-acceptance. Understand that, yeah, of course I'm upset. Of course, like there's something going on in life that is really bothering me. And that just allows me to kind of reset when I acknowledge and accept that I'm feeling that way. And that's where like a but can be put in sometimes, right? Well, of course I'm upset about that, but I shouldn't be taking it out on my kids. And it's like, okay, but you're invalidating the fact that you get to be upset and angry at what's going on in your life. So if you change it to, yeah, I'm upset and angry, and I don't have to take it out on my kids. Okay, now I'm acknowledging that I'm upset and angry, and I can do something different with it. And just invalidating our own emotions, invalidating friends, family, all of these things just by putting that but in there. And it makes us feel bad. You may not feel it immediately, but it's chipping away at ourselves when we do that. And if we change it to an and, which allows both to be true, now you get to be angry and upset, and you can do it a little bit different, and you don't have to take it out on your kids, and you can reset things.
Awesome. Thanks, Noel. Is
Hey,
it
Noel.
Noel or Noel? Noel? Did I say it?
Let us know if we said your name correctly.
Yes.
One of those was.
I don't know how you're going to text it and say it's Noel or Noel. But
Either.
Okay. It works. I love it. Well, perfect. Dang it. Well, you just said something. I forgot what I was going to say. Dang it.
It's the joys of distractions, right? Talking about like invalidating feelings, using buts instead of ands.
Thank you.
Yep.
So like all this stuff has been very new to me the past couple of years, and because first couple of years I'm just trying to be sober and trying to stay sober and just live, figure out how to be like a like living person, adult that I didn't know how to be. But then discovering a lot of this stuff and working on myself and realizing a lot of that self-talk and the emotions thing was huge for me. So I always invalidated my own feelings, and then I started to notice that people in my life do that to themselves and always have done it to me. So it's like that's where it came from for me. Feelings are weakness. You just deal with it, this and that. And it's just I just like I would like be in denial about feelings that I'm having. Does that make sense? Like,
Oh,
no, you're
yes.
not doing, yeah, like you're not upset. Like you are, remember who you are. And it's like, what? Like,
And that is so learned, right?
yeah.
Um, and it came to the point. So I was a high voltage line tech for almost 10 years where I climbed
Oh,
poles out,
Jesus.
in the wild, right? They were in the ground, there was stuff. And every single time I would climb a pole, I would be nervous. I'd be scared. But I would be climbing it and I would feel that and I'd be like, you're not scared. Man up. What is wrong with you? You're not scared. Just climb and get this freaking work done. And I
Mhm.
would shame myself for being rightfully scared that I'm going to be 40 feet in the air hanging off working with electricity. And I would not embrace that. And that would just make me mad at myself and think that I'm weak. And that's how, like, yeah.
Oh,
So, like, telling yourself
the
you aren't
worst.
feeling what you're feeling. And then you feel like when you hear things from other people that invalidate your feelings, that, oh, yeah, I am dramatic. Oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to feel. Oh, yeah, like all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
you develop this stone wall, this stone face. And then
Yeah.
when you actually do feel something, and then when you actually like show that, people get you they don't know what to do, to the point that like it's chaos.
And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" Well, that's
Yes.
what happened with me anyways. And
Yep.
because it's like you have to just stoic and just it's like this and whatever, and we don't talk about it. But what's going on inside of me is exactly the same. It's, well, we're not going to talk about it. Like I'm a freaking bystander of myself,
Hmm.
and like hide it from myself and be in denial about, like if I say I don't have these emotions, if I say that this isn't true, then it isn't true. And it's like that is not true. I'll tell you right now. And so realizing that the past couple of years, especially the last year, especially 6 months to a year, I didn't even know what emotions like were classified as. I still don't. I mean, I have a little better of an idea, but yeah, like it still feels wrong to me in a way. So
Yeah,
it's definitely learn. It's like a learned behavior, trying to unlearn it. No.
absolutely.
What?
And Noel, yes, like the
Yeah.
control that comes up is so true.
Yeah.
And Alan, probably like another, I don't know, 45 minutes ish.
Yeah.
Um, but I would joke like when I started the podcast about 4 years ago, that's the podcast really kind of like you said earlier, where you talk to people and you hear these snippets and you take them, you try them on in your life. And it's helped you to work through things and find different ways of understanding yourself. And really, that's what helped me too. Like that
Yeah.
is really what took me to be where I am right now. But when I started 4 years ago to learn about this stuff, I would be in therapy and they hand me an emotions wheel. They'd be like, okay, what are you feeling? And I'm like, do you have anything in English? They're like, that is English. Okay, I don't know what any of these words mean. So it might as well be Mandarin. Like,
Right.
I don't know. They're like, well, are you mad? Like, yeah, I'm starting to get mad. Well, are you irritated? Are you frustrated? And I'm like, I'm just pissed off. Just keep asking me, please. Yes, let's keep making me angry. And that's how it was for a really long time. And it took, honestly, it was Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart
Yeah.
that really allowed me to give definition to an understanding of what I was feeling. And it gave me, it's not like it's like I talked about earlier, where define words for yourself. And it's not like a definitive definition of those emotions and feelings. But what it does is it gives you a guideline to figure out what it feels like inside of yourself.
Yeah.
What it feels like, and maybe give you the language to talk to yourself about what you're feeling. And that was really what allowed me to get to where I am now, which is to walk through, okay, am I annoyed with my kids? Am I annoyed about something earlier? Am I frustrated about something that happened? Irritated, like breaking down anger. That was where I started, because that was the emotion that I knew, because that was the only one I was allowed to show most of my life. And so, and exactly what you're talking about too, about it being learned. I used to joke on the podcast that my kids, my oldest, who was 3 at the time, had more emotional intelligence than his dad, who was 34. And I would joke about it, and I started laughing. And then one episode, I was sitting there and I was laughing about it. I'm like, wait, this is not a good thing. This is a really bad thing. I should probably work on this. And that was when it was like, okay, time to not allow your 3-year-old to be more emotionally intelligent than you, 34-year-old person.
I like that. I like that.
And yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, this reminds me of what you, Lindsey and Adam spoke about the other day regarding taking responsibility for our lives, trauma, healing, etc., in terms of defining and accepting, not just giving over control. Thanks, Al.
Yeah. It's all connected.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry, what else? What were you saying? Oh, you went on this venture now, and so it's been going better with the emotions.
I'm more emotionally intelligent. I can happily say I'm more emotionally intelligent and more emotionally mature than my 6-year-old. So
that's pretty good.
Let's go.
I'm like
no, yes, that is very true.
Mine's 7, so I'm a little bit over that now, but we're still not there yet. I don't know why I'm saying we. I got a mouse in my pocket.
It's that giving yourself the patience to be able to figure things out, and then the trial and error. Like, oh, I think that this might be grief, but it turns out it's not grief. It's just a different kind of pain, right? It's just, maybe it's just sadness, and it's not actually grief. Like, or maybe this is, this is anger that I'm feeling. Maybe this is frustration. None of it feels like it's fitting, the irritation, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because this is grief. This is actually deeper than grief. This is agony.
Damn.
Oh, so I'm not angry. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I'm in pain. And that trial and error of, feeling it out for a day and like figuring out. And then another thing too is you can't process emotions the same way. So you can't process these pleasant, like joyful, exciting, the awe and wonder emotions the same way you would anger, the same way you would irritation and frustration. And you can't process anger and irritation and frustration the same way you would sadness and grief and agony and, just being the bittersweetness. Like, they all are processed differently, and all of us are unique. None of us are special, but we're all unique. And so something that works for me is not going to work for you in this cookie cutter fashion. And so what you're talking about is something that I love to tell people to do. I say it in my podcast all the time. Take pieces and try it on. See what works. Change it for your life. Change it to fit yourself, right? Yeah. That's part of that self-acceptance, is trying those things on, figuring out what works for you. And then that allowing yourself to do that, and then try it a few times and see if it works.
Yeah, I like that you said allowing yourself to do that, because that's really what it is. you know?
Mm.
Um, yeah, because I mean, for so long, I was fearful of even having my own opinions or making my own decisions. Like that was huge for me. And I know may sound silly to a lot of people, but that was huge for me. Being independent, having autonomy, just over myself. And then being able to explore and say, well, what do I need? What does Lindsey need? What can I take from that? I like that and I like that. I don't have to fit into some kind of mold or ideal, um, of characteristics of what you would think, like to fit in a box, and
Mm.
adopt all those characteristics, like that's not what helps me. So I love that you brought that up. It's so true. So
And
true.
that's that box of expectations, right? That's what keeps us
Yeah.
stuck. That's what keeps us in this place of not accepting ourselves, of thinking that we have to have things a certain way. And if we
Mm,
don't, there's something wrong. And something, 2.5 years ago or so, I moved across the country from Wisconsin, the state that I grew up in my entire life, to Virginia to have a different culture to raise my kids in. And I I realized that I was put into a box in Wisconsin. And I allowed myself to be put in that box, and I myself put myself in this box. And on the drive out, I was driving the big U-Haul, and I was by myself. My kids, and my ex-wife were in the truck behind, and so I had a lot of time to think. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that box. I'm gonna take that box and I'm gonna put the things that I want inside of it.
yeah.
And so, like, it allowed me to change how I perceive myself and then how I was going to show up. But you don't need to have like that massive environment change. You can have small environment changes. Like, where are you putting yourself most of the day? Where are you putting yourself every single day that you don't have to? Like, we have to go to work because we have to pay bills. That's something that we have to do.
Right.
So, outside of work, where are you putting yourself? Are you going and hanging around the same people that expect you to act a certain way and that's not really who you are anymore? Because you're
Mm,
allowed to grow, you're allowed to change who you are, you're allowed to try different things on. And if those people are keeping you stuck, how can you find new people? How can you find new places to put yourself? How can you take yourself out of the box and take the box and start placing things into it?
mm. Excellent. 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 Um, yeah. Um, well, the expectations too. I didn't really understand how they were affecting me until just recently. Like all this stuff was so new because I started peeling the onion, and it took me this long to get to this,
Yeah.
And this is like, stuff that I thought I had down, but I never really even did it. So it's like, oh yeah, I know what feelings are, this and that, and I know what, expectations. I don't, but it's like I did all of that stuff. I didn't really understand until I sat down and was like, it was like I had to be ready though. I don't think I was ready till I was ready to start looking at those things because it's kind of painful sometimes. I mean, it is, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, like after my separation, and that was when I decided, after my separation, I'm gonna start feeling my emotions and feelings.
Oh,
What a
gee.
great fucking idea, RJ. This is yourself looking at your past self like you're a fucking moron, but do what you got to do, boss. But like
Yeah,
thinking back
great
on it,
idea.
maybe I should have started earlier or just waited a little bit.
That's funny.
Um, but it was like, I'm not even. I don't recommend doing it this way.
What?
I'm I'm a stubborn asshole, and like I isolate. So I did all this myself. I didn't do it with a therapist, but I started to feel everything, and for like a month, I averaged 6 hours of sleep a week, and it was okay. Maybe it was 10 hours of sleep a week, but it was not. It was not very much, and I wasn't getting any sleep. I wasn't missing anything, but I was in pain, a lot of pain. And at this time, we were starting. I wasn't seeing my kids every day like I was used to. I wasn't able to tuck them in at night and give them kisses and let them know how much I love them every single day. I didn't get to, like, there were so many new things and so many endings.
Mm.
And so the pain that I was feeling was just, it was so intense. And the thing was, I wasn't just feeling those new things in the moment. I was feeling the things from the past that I never allowed myself to feel.
Yes. That's it right there.
And it was so hard. And when I broke through, it was worth it. It was worth those sleepless weeks. It was worth feeling everything. It was worth, the pain got so bad mentally and emotionally that, like, I was actually punching myself in the head, just telling myself to just shut up. Just give me that physical pain. I just want to be punched in the face, do something to take away from that mental and that and emotional pain, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And now, like, after that, it's like the pain that I felt, it's been manageable. Like, to the point where it's not even a full day. It's, a couple hours. Like, sometimes it's minutes. Compared to before, it would take me out for an entire couple days, stuff like that. And Noel, what the pain revealed,
Mm.
let me tell you what the pain revealed. I mean, going back to childhood, going back to a teenager, like these things that really impacted me, like, girls finding out that I like them in the middle of the cafeteria, standing up and saying, "Ew, that's gross," right? Like,
Mhm.
that embarrassment, the pain from that, like the being ostracized, but even further back, like when I was a kid and I had to take um take care of my brother and sister and also my parents emotionally, and doing all of this stuff, and like the pain of, I never got my emotional needs met. I never got my mental needs met. How many times I had to bury my feelings to just get through, and then how I had to do that going through my relationships, whether it
Mm.
was coworkers, friendships, it didn't, it was always there, right?
Yeah.
And so realizing what I had been looking for, like, what, when I drank the way that I drank, what was I looking for? Like, what was it that I was looking for that I got that made me want to continue to drink that way? And it was being accepted by my peers. Okay. Why did I go into the career that I went into? Why did I try so hard at my career that I put so much time into it and I demanded perfection of myself? Well, I was looking for acceptance from my peers. I was looking for acceptance from my bosses. Okay. Getting married. Why did I want to get married? What was I looking for? Well, I was looking for acceptance from society. I was looking for acceptance from another person, a person that I loved. Okay. Why did I want to be a dad? What was I looking for from, well, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted that family. I wanted that love, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked at all of those things and I was like, is there moments that I could point to that there were overt moments where they were letting me know that I was accepted? And it was like, yeah, well, why couldn't I feel that?
Mm.
Why couldn't I accept it? Why couldn't I feel it and allow that to be true? Like, what was it? And I had to look at myself and be like, oh, I've never accepted myself.
Oof. Damn.
I need to accept me and allow me to be me. And what does that look like? How do you start doing that? And it was like, okay. And, that goes back to, like I said, when I was a kid and I wasn't allowed um, to have needs. I wasn't allowed to, like, be loud. I wasn't allowed to be emotional. I wasn't, like, there was a lot, right? And so I learned, right, that I wouldn't be accepted unless I did these things. And then I also learned that I there was something wrong with me, so I will never be accepted. Like I just won't be. Whether that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. That's what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to go back to that young kid and, okay, what does it look like accepting you? What does it look like accepting this? Right.
Mm.
And yeah, that's figuring it out for yourself on what does that look like? Like, for me, I got a damn it, proton pack that is, has movie sound effects and everything next to an inflatable unicorn that, listen, like, that's me. Like, I'm
Good.
goofy. I make fun of myself. I lean into that dorkiness, that silliness. That's what self-acceptance means to me is, okay, I don't know it all. And I'm glad that I don't know it all, because holy shit, when I thought that I did, what pressure to put on yourself. Like, recovering perfectionist. Okay, let's not be perfect. Let's allow ourselves to make mistakes.
Yeah. Damn.
What does that look like?
Ugh. I love that. Letting yourself.
So,
He said, nailed it.
yeah.
So when did you realize that, get to that point, if you had to guess?
As far as the acceptance,
Yeah, just like really nailing it and understanding like where it came full circle, it sounds like.
about 2.5 years ago or so. I mean, this isn't something that like I've known for a really long time. And it's stuff that I've kind of done since then, but I've found words to put to some of the reasons that I found these things, some
Mm.
things that bother me. And I'm starting to figure out, like, why do things bother me? Like that but and
Yeah.
and thing that I told you about earlier, that is about the feelings and emotions. Like, that really allowed me to see, like, why I would get so mad at myself when I would say things, like, and then I put that but in there, and that but just kept me stuck. And like, what is going on with that? Or when people would tell me, um, yeah, you are really stressed out, but somebody has it worse than you. It's like, okay, why does that bother me so much? Because
Hmm.
it's true. I was like, well, because they're not allowing me to feel the stress that's real. They're telling me I shouldn't feel it. So if instead you say, yeah, you're really stressed right now, and somebody has it worse than you,
Yeah.
okay, now you're allowing me to be like, yeah, it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to, it's giving you the ability to be able to do both. No, do I find relationships real now? Yes. 1,000% yes. I did not understand what I was looking for as far as intimacy, as far as what real relationships really were. But when I looked back at my friends that I had, and I had a lot of friends. I have friends that I've had since kindergarten, since preschool. Like, I still have those friends. But when I think about what we talk about, what is it? Well, it's sports, right?
Mm.
It's the weather, it's work. Did we ever actually talk about the things like, one of my best friends got cancer and he passed out, and it was an aggressive cancer. And, he might have been 50-50. I don't know what the survival rate really was for the kind that he had. And he's good. Like, he survived. But did we ever talk about that?
Oh.
Did I ever allow myself to actually feel my friend at we were 21, 22, him going through cancer, and I go to visit him every single weekend in the hospital? Like, did I ever allow myself to feel how much that hurt, that sucked? No, I didn't, because I felt guilty because I wasn't the one going through it.
Mm.
Right. And so I was like, I shouldn't be feeling this stuff. Like, I held it against myself. And so now giving yourself the chance to be able to, well, okay, it's not happening to you, but you still feel something. It's to your friend. Of course, you're
Yeah.
going to be scared shitless. Of course, you're going to be sad. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at those things and like the friendships and stuff like that, like, I have a smaller circle of friends. I have like, even, going out and dating now. I'm not interested in surface level conversations. And that means that I'll start a conversation with somebody on dating apps, or like, even in real life. And it'll get to a point where it's like the same conversation over. I'm like, well, this is all it's gonna probably be for a while. I'm not that interested. And so I'm looking for that different level of connection. And
Yeah.
it's
Hard to
more
find.
special, right? But it's definitely different.
It's easy to find someone to be with, but it's hard to find someone that I want to be with, like, because I enjoy being by myself now. And so
Mm,
I would not change that unless this person is spectacular. Like
yeah.
it's, I want serenity, and I want calmness, and I want only people that are going to improve my life. And, I don't want anybody, um, somebody else like coming into my life and disrupting it, but that's the only kind of people that I would have before. It was almost like,
Yes.
are you purposely searching for the people that are going to come in and tear shit down? It seemed like
Kind
that,
of.
but yeah. But now it's like,
Me too.
you start to see that, man, I don't need that shit. Like, I don't deserve that. Like, I deserve to have somebody actually love me, and just me,
Hmm.
and that's hard for me to even say right now, because it feels so foreign, because I did not think that way for so long. It's like I actually respect myself to, you know, to care, I guess. It's crazy.
Did you
Um,
did you get into relationships only with people you had to prove your worth to?
yes. Um,
Me too.
Sometimes they were, well, my ex-husband, we were like best friends, and so it was different, but I didn't respect him in a way because of it. I mean, the thing with me is, like, I always will direct all my attention to the person that I'm not good enough for, to them. And
Yeah.
everybody else could be like on the outside, like, oh my God, you're so great. I'm like, fuck off. Like, I am not. I hate
Yes, I did the
myself.
same thing. You saying this, like,
Wild.
I'm so relating to it. Yes,
Really?
absolutely.
I thought
Yes.
there's something wrong with me. I mean, maybe there is.
That's literally what I thought.
Shit.
Like, the people who
Really?
were saying those things that you're talking about, I was like,
Yeah.
there must be something, and I didn't know I was doing this, but looking back, like,
Yeah.
this is kind of what was going on underneath was there must be something wrong with you if you actually believe that I'm, like, good at this thing or whatever. So
Oh
I'm
my
just gonna go to the
God.
person that it seems like does not like that
They
understands
don't
that
like
I need
me.
to prove my worth, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so
Mhm.
that's the kind of people I ended up in relationships with. Friendships, like, that was really where I identified that cycle. It wasn't in my relationships first, it was friendships.
Mm.
Why did I choose the friends that I would choose all
I
the
did that
time?
too.
Yeah, and
Damn.
so when I realized that, and then coworkers too, like, I would not care what the coworkers who thought that I was good at my job, that, like, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's great, but I would really wait for the coworker that I had to really prove myself to, their validation, their acceptance. And that's because it was like, well, they must be right because
Yeah.
they're making me prove it.
Yeah. And it's almost like, I was thinking about this recently, because it's like someone could totally treat me like trash, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm over here like, what's wrong with me? Why don't you love me? Why don't you like me? And it's like a little kid, Um, but anybody else, it just always happens like this. Like, someone else that's gonna be there and actually be good for me and treat me right. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So whatever, that's fine. And now I realize that I've done it with friends too. It's like, what a wild thing. Does everybody have this? Is this the thing?
Darlene really, really laid it out. And yeah, like, that is exactly what I
Yeah.
found. So something that helped me I found like my original childhood wounds, like the very first thing that I was taught about myself.
Yeah.
There's two of them. And I found it because I found my attachment style. And so, like, when it comes to like accepting yourself and understanding yourself, I have ADHD, right? So when I got um when I got diagnosed with ADHD, it was like I didn't understand what it was necessarily, but having that understanding allows me to approach life differently than I used to, where I used to think something was wrong and try to do everything the way that everybody was supposed to. Now I have a better understanding. And same thing with the attachment style. Like it just gives you an understanding of yourself that you can start at and find that understanding. And so like I'm disorganized. I'm
You are?
fearful avoidant. I'm anxious avoidant for those who don't know. But what that is, like all three of those, same thing, allegedly. That's
I know
what
they
I've
have
read
different
online,
words
but,
for them.
um,
Yeah.
so it was using it to find like your understanding of yourself and like the through line of your relationships. Like I said, friendships, even your sibling dynamics, coworkers, and then your intimate relationships.
Damn.
It can help.
Totally. Like you're speaking my language. I always like bring this up and I never and I never know how to explain it. Or the person that I'm talking to or other people are like, you know, I think I have this thing and I don't know. I mean, I haven't learned all about this, like family theory and all this stuff, but I started realizing that the relationships in my life with my parents were still greatly affecting my current. And I think that, I mean, that is basically attachment theory anyways, but I just like really grabbed onto that when I found out. And then so it's the same kind of things. And it's like, I thought that that was normal, like the behavior. Like, so I'll tell you, I don't really even say this very much, but my mother was very enmeshed with me. And so, and a lot of people would tell me, like, oh, well, at least your parents love you and they give you everything and this and that. And it's like, that is, it stunts your growth. Like I didn't know how to be my own person. And I felt really ashamed to even say that out loud because it's like, oh, I'm saying that my mom was a bad mom. And it's like, no, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, everybody has something, right? That, you know,
Well, you
didn't
can
want to be with her parents.
accept how it affected you
Yeah,
without saying that she was bad.
exactly. Because I don't think it was bad. I think that she was a great mom. I just think like everybody has childhood stuff that affects them and it affects them the rest of their life if they don't, work on it, and it's heavy stuff. So it's like, it's not like people like, a lot of people don't even recognize that they have any of this attachment style stuff going on. They're like, what is that? And I'm just so hyper aware of this stuff because I don't want to parent a certain way now. Like I want to course correct. If I feel bad saying that, but you know what I mean. So
Wait,
it's
and why do you feel bad saying that?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe because I don't know. Well, maybe I think it's bad. I don't know. Maybe because I'm judging it as bad. And so I feel bad saying it because I'll think everybody else is going to think it's bad, you know? But yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, Jesus. Noel. Yeah, because it's like it's like you are loyal. We fight and it's like you secretly hate each other and we're always yelling over each other. But that's normal and you just forget about it and move on. And so guess how that showed up in my relationships? So fucked up. And I didn't even know until like recently.
And did you just hold on to resentment?
With my parents, no, I never resented them. I didn't know that it was, and I didn't know anything different about it. My dad is very 0 to 100, like anger, like, and now I notice it. But so the past year, this is what I mean. Like, so I started connecting everything and realizing, and then I started getting mad then. And then I'm like, no, but I worked on it with my therapist to let it go because I was like, oh my God, this is why I am the way I am, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And, that was just like my process. And I went through that because Questions I'd ask myself, like, why don't I let myself get close to people? Why do I, whatever, push people away? All this, all that. And it was what I learned, don't trust people. Don't trust people. Own your family. Everybody will fuck you. This and that, So that was like what I learned. And I caught myself, saying some of those things. I'm like, it's not true though. Like now I can see that they're just beliefs and it's not true. But it took me so long to even understand that I had those beliefs. I had no freaking idea. I thought that shit was normal. I thought like every family fought like that. Or not even just fought. It's like, and it was like if I said anything bad, it was like you're not loyal to, you know what I mean? Like, how dare you? You're hurting my feelings. And I'm not like that though, like truly. So I always felt uncomfortable. I always felt weird, So it's a weird thing.
It's
Takes some time to heal.
different. It does.
Yeah.
And like Darlene's saying too, we can change our attachment style. Like,
yeah. Thank
it
God.
was nice. And it's nice to learn your attachment style because it can point to the cycles that you're going through, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not a definition of who you are.
Right.
And that's the same thing with ADHD. Like I use it as an understanding, but it's not a definition of me.
Yeah.
And we can fall into this with sobriety when we identify ourselves and we define ourselves based on these things that are really external to us instead of our values. Like I'm a curious, creative, fun-loving, kind person who has massive compassion. Like that is really that's me.
Yeah.
And all of these things can help me to understand myself, but they don't have to define myself. And that's where we can get stuck too, is using the past to define us, when really you get to define who you're going to be by what you do now going forward.
Beautifully
And so
said.
even if that changes, like if tomorrow you want to be different in some way, you get to make that choice.
So true.
People say just stop using. Avoidance of feelings is so complex. Listen, I stopped drinking and I put everything into work, right? And then I put everything into work for a while, and then I put it in a relationship and video games. And then I took it and put it back into work. Yeah. And I put it into parenthood. And then I put it back into work. And then it's like, is the avoidance of the feelings? Yes.
Not working.
Laura McCowan calls it ritualized comfort seeking. And I think that is the like most all-encompassing definition, because who is using their relationship, right, to avoid their feelings? There's a lot of us that do that.
Hell yeah.
Right? Like, are you using work to avoid your feelings? Are you using your kids to avoid your feelings?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Your friends. It's not just alcohol. It's not just drugs. It's not just porn and gambling. Like you can avoid your feelings. Sports, right?
Yep.
These rabid fandoms are using that to avoid your feelings.
Everything. Yeah. Every kind of hyper obsession. Well, I learned that when I start, I really grab onto things and I get hyper focused on them. I'm also ADHD, but I get hyper focused and I'm like, like very obsessed, like not normal. Like I don't know. I don't think it's normal because people are like, how do you? It
is with ADHD though.
Yeah, it's like my whole world becomes whatever it is. It's wild, but I get shit done, eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to tell people, it's like, okay, so you have your horse blinders. People understand the horse blinders, the tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Now imagine you put that in a microscope. That's ADHD hyperfixation, is like the microscope, and you really can't see anything else outside of it.
No, that's so funny. Yeah. And a lot of people, I've never really heard a lot of people say that. Cause I'm just like, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I'm just like weird. Maybe I like to like be in the house and like, isolating, just like I'm like reading books and like going crazy and like, oh my God, I figure out the life. And it's like a
I
manic
found the
or
meaning of
something.
life.
I
It's
swear to God.
42.
I do that shit too. Like I'll just like randomly message like Scott and Adam and I'll be like, dude, I need to tell you this. And they're like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is why I do. Oh, I'm one of those people too. This is why I was triggered. Well, I don't say triggered. I'm like, I was so upset because underneath, subconsciously, I was disturbed by blah, 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 or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm always like trying to like, and I just like automatically do it. Does that make sense? Like, I'm always trying to figure out, like, well, why did that bother me so much? And I'm like, well, blah, 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 blah. Oh, because I felt out of control. I'm like, I'd probably do that too much, but it helps me, you know, to see like what is going on.
And just because you're doing that so much right now doesn't mean you're going to do it so much forever.
Yeah,
It's good
no,
to know those cycles, though.
that's exactly what I think. Yeah, because now that I'm learning it, it's like I'm going to take full advantage of it, and like I see it now. I see all the patterns like very distinct, and it's wild, you know.
Yes,
I
it is.
pray.
Oh, so funny story. I got into,
Yes.
so I identified that I was in relationships with people I had to prove my worth to. And my ex-wife and I, we got into our biggest argument, co-parenting wise. And it was because we came to an agreement on, what would happen in this situation. That situation came up. She wasn't honoring the agreement.
Mm.
And so I got so mad and I was dragging, like trying to get her to see she's not honoring this agreement. And that is like, how could you do that? Like, we agreed to this and you said yes. And like, it was bothering me for a week. And finally, my best friend was like, can I tell you something that you don't want to hear? And I'm like, I always want to hear what I don't want to hear. You
Yeah.
know that? And he goes, this is just you trying to prove your worth in a different way. You
Mm.
trying to get her to honor an agreement and keep somebody at a table they don't want to be. You're trying to drag her back because you're trying to prove that you're worthy. And I was like, fuck,
Bro.
you're right. And
Oh my
like once I understood that, all of the weight, all of the stress, all the anxiety just melted. And it
God.
was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, what do you want the outcome of this to be? Why do you want the agreement to be honored? And it's like, well, because it would be what's best for the boys. Okay, if you honor that agreement now when she so vehemently doesn't and you show up, what's going to happen? Well, there's going to be tension and we're not going to be aligned and it's not going to be smooth. And I was like, oh, so why am I trying to honor this?
Mm.
And he goes, yeah, why are you? Can you let it go? And
Damn.
I'm like, what's the worst case if you just let it go? And I'm like, I guess there's not really much. The boys are going to be safe because I believe she's going to keep them safe. So yeah, you're right. And he goes, okay, so can you let it go? And I said, yeah, I can. And like, just realizing that I was proving my worth in that way, it just opens your mind to, oh,
Yeah.
I'm
You just
always,
messed me up. Oh my
I don't know about
God.
always, right? But like, I'm going to be susceptible to that cycle.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be susceptible to that cycle. Let's be real. Let's be honest. It's
Me.
one of those times you can use an always. I'm not a big fan of absolutes, but this is one of those times. And so just being able to identify the different ways that it shows up gives you more power to be able to take your power back. Gives you
Yes.
more tools to be able to see these things. And I was like, it changed the entire outlook of that day. And it had been like 3 days where I hadn't been like sleeping good. I'm like, how could this person be doing this? Got into that self-righteousness, right? Like,
Yes.
why are they doing this? It makes no sense. I haven't done anything like this to them.
I'm
Like,
attacked
what
right
is
now.
going on? Right. And so, Brene Brown, I love Brene Brown. She's not the same level as everybody else. She's a human, but I love the way that she takes feelings and emotions and makes it approachable for just a dumbass like me.
Yeah.
And
Same. Like, oh,
and
Jesus.
so she says self-righteousness is, it's the armor of self-hatred.
Ooh.
And so like when you're self-righteous about something, right? You're actually mad at yourself. And what are you mad at yourself for? Well, what aren't you giving yourself permission to really do, right? And so in that self-righteousness, like I'm mad at this person because they're doing that. Well, I'm not giving myself permission to just let go.
Ooh. Dude. Yes.
And it was like, okay, I guess it's time to let this one go.
Mm. Dude, yeah, I feel personally attacked right now by you and your words. And I feel they're
I hear
owning
you.
you.
Oh, there's so many times like, I'll be listening to an audiobook and I'll stop it and I'll be like, I don't know why they came for me like that. How do
Why
they
would
even
do-
know that I'm living in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and like
Oh,
I'm just
shit.
waiting for them to just attack? What's going on?
It's so personal. Oh shit. No, but I like what you said. He said that to you about keeping her at the table. What did he say?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you trying to keep somebody at a table that they don't want to be at? Why do you
Oof.
keep trying to drag them back to that table?
Jesus Christ, that got me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can relate.
And I was like, don't ever think that I don't want to hear that because I do.
Me
Please
too.
just keep piling it on.
I'm the same way. This I talked to this guy today. I think I told you, and he was like, "I'm gonna give you some constructive criticism, or feedback or whatever." I forget what he said, and I was just like excited to get to talk to this guy on the phone, like because he's cool to me, and I like what he's doing, and he's like, and he's critiquing. He's like, your videos and your this and
Mhm.
whatever, and he's like, you know I was like, nobody will tell me any kind of critique. So like, I really appreciate it. And he's like, well, everybody wants to just be nice. And I was like, you're right. You're right. But it's just funny because I'm like, I'm not offended at all by that, because I want to hear it. I've been looking to hear feedback or whatever. Like, that's what I need. I want the truth. Like, I don't like, it's easy to get someone to be like, oh yeah, it's so great. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, no, I want to actually better myself. Like I'm not like this perfect
Yes.
person. Like, and I know that. I'm aware. So I thought that was cool.
It's definitely finding the people who will challenge you with kindness, right?
Yeah. Saying it
It's
the
because
way.
there's a way to challenge you aggressively, and there's a time and a place for that, but not always.
Right.
And so, like when my friend challenged me in that moment, like I was in a high emotional state. Like I was pissed off,
Yeah.
but I knew, and the way that he approached it was with kindness. Like I'm saying this because I love you. I'm
Yeah.
saying this because I care about you and I want what's best for you.
Right. He didn't say,
And he,
hey, dumbass. You would have been
yeah,
like, hey, fuck you. I'm not listening to
right,
you.
exactly. And so, you know, when you bring things, you don't have to bring them. You can be direct
Thank you.
in that assertive way and not be direct in that aggressive way.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep talking. Tell them. No, I
Right?
just love that because it's I think a lot of people confuse like being loving and like with being easy on some I don't
Mhm.
even know really the words that I would use to describe it. It's like not being harsh on someone means enabling, and it's like no, it does not. It's the thing that helps me the most, especially when I'm trying to change something, is when someone is direct with me and they're coming at an angle of like compassion and love and not, hey, you, blah, 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 blah. And that instantly I can't hear the message. And so I don't
Mhm.
want to do that with other people because instantly it's like my ears are blocked if I'm being attacked, So it's how you say it, and it's not like enabling by being nice and saying it. Like telling someone the truth is compassionate. Saying it in the right way helps. I mean, it's compassionate too, but it helps the message to get across to where you actually have a chance of helping them usually in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand a lot of people say that people talk to them like shit and it helped them get better. I mean, maybe there's a small percentage of people that,
Well,
but
it's that mindset that you're in though. Like if
yeah,
somebody was mean to you and harsh, you're in a mindset to be able to receive that. How
yeah,
often are you in that
that's it.
mindset that shame or guilt or judgment is actually going to motivate you to change?
When I was in addiction,
But
probably.
even then, like you had to be in the right mindset to want to
Oh
get
yeah,
better. Like, right? When you
not
were
very often
like,
either.
yeah, when you're active, when you're like headed down the wrong path, that shame, that judgment, that like that the aggressiveness that's not getting through. Like the nights
No.
my mom called me an alcoholic, those were the nights I got the drunkest that I made the worst decisions.
Yep. Yep. Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the nights that people told me, "Hey, I'm worried about you. You're drinking a lot." And when you're doing that, you're making decisions that I'm worried about what the outcome is going to be. Those were the times where I pulled back on my drinking
Mm,
and I actually like tried something different.
yeah.
And that's the difference in the aggressiveness and the assertiveness is, and that kindness that you were talking about, and that compassion. And
Hmm.
when yeah, like Noel just said, when you feel attacked, you are going to shut down because you're predicting that danger.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I remember my thought process when my mom called me an alcoholic. I literally was like, "Oh, you think I'm a
I'll-
fucking alcoholic? Fine, watch me. I'll
Yep.
show you what an alcoholic looks like."
Yeah.
But
I
just
know it.
this is yep. Get me that vodka. I'm drinking straight all night. Let's go.
This is so fucked up, but I remember being offended when my mom said, "You look like a crackhead," and like I was smoking crack, but I was so offended. I'm sorry. I just thought
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
terrible.
it's true. Like that's when like we're like, how dare you?
I know
That
it's
is not reality. Here's what the reality actually is, even
crazy.
though it is kind of the reality. We just don't want
Totally,
to see it.
totally the reality. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
just interesting to like see how twisted my mind was. Like no logic for
Yeah.
anything.
It's that confirmation
Yeah.
bias that we find a lot too. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. It works both ways. Like it's confirmation bias, or really you're just seeing what you want to see.
Hmm.
So I don't want to see that I'm an alcoholic. I
Yeah.
don't want to see that I have a drinking problem. I don't want to see that I have to change my relationship with alcohol. So I'm gonna see what I want to see that says that I I don't I don't really have that bad of a problem. I don't really,
Yeah.
it's not affecting my life really.
Yeah.
Right.
We talk
And
ourselves into it.
yeah.
Like, how? It
And
happens.
that still happens with avoiding feelings. Like Noel said earlier, like, somebody I was told multiple times that, hey, I know you're not doing okay.
Hmm.
Hey, I know that you have a lot of stress going, like, what is going on with you? And I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some stress, but any I'm fine with everything else. Like
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be fine.
It's fine.
But
Everything's fine.
you talk yourself into that. Like, oh, I won't be able to stop drinking. It didn't work the last time. It's not going to work this time. Well, then you're going to
Yeah.
find the reasons why it's not going to work.
Say that again
Like,
because, yeah, say it again. Sorry.
so, if you want to change your relationship with alcohol, if you want to stop drinking, if you want to, this is with anything, right? And you
Yeah.
say, well, I'm not going to be able to do it this time because I didn't do it the last time. It
Yeah.
didn't work the last time.
Yep. So I
Well,
can't do it now.
yeah.
How many of us have done that too?
Oh,
Especially, like even coming back just once, um, twice, three times I came back. And it's like, why would I keep doing this? It's not working. And it's like, dude, it wasn't until I said, you know what, no matter what, I'm gonna keep trying until I get it. And it's like I knew I was gonna get it, even though I kept falling on my ass. And people were like, "You're crazy! Like you're fucking up. You're not gonna get it. You're not getting it, Lindsay." And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna get it," and I did. It's crazy. I believed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's your brain trying to protect you. Yeah, it's like, isn't it like the inner critic trying to protect you? Because tell me if I'm right or wrong, Noel. Because
You're right.
I am okay. Because it's the inner critic. It actually, there's a payoff, right? It is trying to protect us, which is weird how it goes about it. You know?
Well, and if you understand that, if you take that, right, you listen to that intense inner critic and you understand it's trying to protect me.
Yeah.
Okay. This, you like calling me a piece of shit and like I suck at this, that's not working. What is it you're trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Right. And you can dissect it and see what, oh, it's trying to protect me by saying we should think about how we're approaching this, because if it doesn't work out, it could go really bad.
I could be upset. Yeah, and you don't want to be hurt, Lindsay. We're protecting you, or I'm protecting you. You know,
Yeah.
oh, you're a piece of shit. Well, so don't try. So don't try, because then you can't fail and you can't hurt.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And so, okay, I need to be prepared that I might be hurt.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it that way the first time, asshole?
Dickhead. It's learned.
It is. It absolutely is. And mind well, fine is a no-no when you ask somebody how they're doing and they say they're fine. It's like, okay, tell me what's fine.
I'm
For
fine.
real, what's fine?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. Totally believable.
When people ask me how I'm doing, I'm kind of like, just like in a store or something, like, how are you? And I always do it. I'm like, I don't really want to know how they are. Like, I don't think they really want to know how I am. That's totally off subject right now, but I just thought about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's used as a greeting, right? How you doing?
Yeah. That's like
oh,
a hey.
Just a
what if someone said not good? I'd be like, what? Because I'm passing by them in the store or something. And they say, what if they said not good? I'd be like, oh, fuck. I have to come back and talk to them.
That's what they're hoping for. That's what they want, is somebody to stop and talk to them.
Yeah. But I've never gotten that.
Well, I hope it gets better as you walk away.
No, but it's just interesting. I've never heard anybody say, I hear like good, but no one's ever like not good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, you know.
If my friends ask me now, and there's certain friends that it's still every single time they ask me if I'm sure, they'll be like, they'll be, hey, how are you doing? And I'll stop and I'll think, and I'll like, my eyes will go up because I'm thinking. So I'm like, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Today's been pretty good. There's been ups and downs, but there's been some other things that have, there's been some things going on, but for the most part, like there's been some really great things. So yeah, overall I'm good. And they're like, are you really? Because you took a pause there. And I'm like, yes, I took a pause to reflect on how the day has been. So I appreciate it. And sometimes it's the week.
Yeah.
And that takes people for a loop, because they're like, they're not used to that pause.
True. Yeah. Cause it's like, what, are you not sure? Well, I don't know feelings. You got to give me a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. Like how has today gone? Huh. What has happened today? Did I eat today? That's something I have to ask myself all the time. Did I eat today?
Yeah. Well, I forget what I do in general.
Yeah, same.
I'm just like flying by the seat of my pants, going nowhere. I don't know where I'm going.
Last night it was 9:00, and I'm like, did I eat today? I didn't eat today.
Stop. Really?
Do I cook something, or do I just make like cereal, or
no way. How do you not get sick? I get really sick.
Well, my stomach starts to hurt, but it's like, oh, I'll just drink some water and it'll be fine till the morning. Then I wake up, and in the morning I'm like, why am I so freaking hungry? I'm not hungry for breakfast ever. Oh wait, I didn't eat anything yesterday.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, this isn't that I should probably eat.
Oh my God, I wish. No, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say I wish I could do that, but That's the problem.
Yeah.
Mindful interaction for the win of our true thought. They don't want to appear unworthy by saying bad. That's DNA. You killing me tonight. Killing me. That's so true. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I do that too sometimes. I'm like, people ask me, like, how are you? I'm like, oh, you know. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay.
Just getting by.
Yeah, like they know what I mean when I say, oh, you know, that means shitty.
That
But they
means
know.
let's keep it moving because I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they know. I don't want it to be all about me. You know?
Do you want it to be about you at all?
Sometimes.
Okay. Well, that's good. At least it's sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, probably more than not. So that's probably why sometimes I try to pull back a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, I like to be the center of attention sometimes. You know?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh shit. So yeah. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I could go on about emotions and feelings all day. Like,
Oh my God,
the
I would listen to you
acceptance.
too. I would totes listen to you because I'm be like, what? I don't even what? Blowing my mind.
I like to tell people, like, 4 years ago when I started this journey, and I really didn't learn about emotions and feelings of what I had, like I said, till about 2.5 years ago. But like, I was Helen Keller when it came to emotions and feelings in my inside world. Like, I was deaf, dumb, and blind. And the only thing I would do was lash out, right?
Yeah,
And I
same.
would lash out because I didn't have any understanding of what was going on inside. So, like, anything that happened, of course I would lash out. Of course. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else.
So true.
So, like, that's where I started from. And now I can kind of like talk the way that I am. But
you are now, both of you. They don't.
Appreciate you, Noel.
I like what you said. Being the center of attention is never bad unless you're only allowing it through others' eyes. You guys are killing me. Like, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Awesome.
This is such good shit.
Yeah,
Good
it
stuff.
is.
Your own attention must center you as well. I love, like, just like I said, like, just being with myself. Like, I'm quite pleased with myself. Like,
That's
and that's weird
a good
for
thing,
me.
right?
Yeah, it's weird saying it because it wasn't like that for so long. I couldn't be alone.
I have a question that I ask people after the first date if I think they're interesting and like worth. Sometimes it comes up before, but this is how I find out if the second date's going to happen or not. It's how do you look at conflict in a relationship?
You dirty dog. How do you look at conflict as an opportunity for growth? That's the perfect answer, right?
Well, yeah, but like, how do you expect conflict to happen? How do you want it to handle it? What do you?
Well, I guess, like, conflict is defined as like arguing, right? Or is it a neutral thing, or is it bad?
Why does conflict have to be bad? You just said it's an opportunity for growth.
Just differing opinions, maybe, right?
I would say differing opinions would be a conflict.
Oh, well, then it would be a chance to team up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like double the greatness. Because I got another person that's a genius too. But it's like but the opportunity for growth, and more opinions is probably better. Like, being able to see more sides, because I don't always see the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't always know.
And that's an answer that, like, I would be like, okay, that's awesome. But if it was like, oh, I don't think in a great relationship, if in the right relationship, conflict wouldn't happen. And when I hear that answer, I'm like, I don't think we're in the same place.
But it's like you're full
I
of
liked you,
shit.
but
Like that's
yep,
a full of
that's
shit.
fairy tale.
It's not even like a good answer. It's like not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thanks for trying.
It's I liked you too, but I don't think we're in the same place in life.
It's
And
not you, it's me.
yep,
It
I just
is.
think we're on two different paths.
That's such a
Maybe
nice way to
one
put
day.
it. I'm gonna take that
And
one.
but it like my thing is I'm not great at conflict. Like I know my cycles, but my cycle also is to shut down and go internal, right? And to isolate, insulate. And so I want to get better at conflict with somebody. I want to grow. I want to have somebody who's willing to learn with me, right? Grow alongside me. And like that's what you were talking about earlier about like conflict being an opportunity for growth. Like, yes.
Right.
And so that's what I say is like, I want to get better at conflict with somebody. I want to learn how they communicate and how they move through it so that I can learn how it's best for me to communicate, how it's best for me to move through it. I think I have an idea, but I can only do so much healing and growth on my own.
Yeah.
You have to be in a relationship to continue some of your
Challenges
growth
help
and
you
healing.
grow.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. So true.
Exactly. And so like that weeds out like sometimes that dating pool where it's like, that's that toxic positivity. That's that fairy tale. That's the, I don't think, I'm sorry.
I always wonder, like, so here's my thing too. It's like, so like I haven't been interested in dating because I'm just like you were talking about, like I want like an actual intellectual conversation. It's like you can't force it, so it's hard. But
Ask the open-ended questions.
yeah.
And if they can't, turn them back. Okay.
Yeah, because like I want to have like normal conversation. And this is the thing too. What I thought of when you're saying that is I like to debate, or it's called argument, but it's not an argument. It doesn't have to be. It's because we're gonna play out in the open arena our ideas and see who's right or who's wrong, or both are right, or both, like it's challenging ideas. Like,
yeah,
that's important.
it opens your mind to different perspectives, right?
Yeah,
and
it's how we
something
find
to think about too
answer.
is like there's not necessarily a right and a wrong. Like how often is that? But sometimes there's a more right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're both right, just in different ways. And so finding that collaboration rather than the competition,
the common ground.
uh-huh.
Damn, we're fucking genius.
Yeah. And no, the shutting down is protection, absolutely. And like that's my
right.
cycle. That is my cycle. Like I will, and I tell people that, listen, if something happens that like hurts my feelings in the moment, I'm not gonna be able to tell you in the moment because I'm gonna be a million miles away. Like I'm dissociating. I'm not there anymore. I'm there and you'll hear words, but it's not actually me. Right. And so I might have to talk to you about it the next day. It might be 2 days or 3. It's like I got to work up to it.
Really?
And some people are open to that, and some people are like, "Well, why are you a coward?"
Oh my
Like
God.
literally, I have gotten that, right? Like, why are you a coward? You can't bring it up in the moment. And it's like I legitimately can't.
You haven't processed it yet, maybe.
And that's exactly what it is. A lot of the times, I haven't. I'm not there anymore. I know it wasn't okay. I don't know why. I don't know exactly what it was. I can't talk it through right then.
Interesting.
And so
I try to do it right then.
okay with that and understanding. Yeah.
But it gets me, it's not what I want to do. I want to be more like that.
And that's not always, but I would say it's often. And so like the shutting down, I will come back to it, but it might be a day. We might check in a day later, and I'm like, I still don't know for sure. And it's not that I'm avoiding it; it's that I'm still trying to process what exactly it was.
And see how you actually feel, right? And that's where, see, I will get into a spiral sometimes. Like when I get into that, I get into like fight or flight, and I'm getting so much better. And this is what I've been working on the most, probably, is like when I get into that emotional state, um, I'll want to like solve it right then. Like I don't want the person mad at me. Um, it's
What if
it's
there is no solving it though?
uncomfortable, huh?
What if there's no solving it?
That's it gives me anxiety, and that's my own shit, you know? It goes back to childhood and learned behavior, you know? And I thought
Mhm.
everybody was like that. And now I'm like, I don't wanna be, I wanna pause. So, like, that pause is, like, so hard for me sometimes, but
Mhm.
I'm learning how to do it. It's, like, very hard for me.
And you're learning.
Yes.
And that's that progress, right? That's the progress,
Mhm.
seeing those progress things and
Yeah.
over that perfection.
Yeah. Yeah, let's face it, I'm not gonna be close to perfection anytime soon.
It
What?
is important. This
Mm.
is something again I learned
What? Tell me.
a couple months ago. Um, and I knew it. This is something that I knew, but I didn't really do it. I was
Mm.
talking to a group that I was coaching, and I was talking about how important it is to take time to look at your progress and give yourself credit for it, right? Admire it, see what you're doing, and like point out things that you've done differently, whether it's with your relationship with alcohol, anxiety, whatever it is, like how you're behaving differently. Then I
Yeah.
told a story about my kids, and I was not telling it in a way to point out progress, but in the middle of the story, I'm like, wait a second, I did that way different than I would have before. And I
Huh.
didn't give myself credit for that. And so it was like live on the call. I'm like having this revelation. What it was, I set PM instead of AM for my alarm,
Mhm.
of course. And so I woke up late and we had 10 minutes to get ready to get to school. And I hadn't woke my kids up yet. And I woke up and I was pissed. I was getting mad at myself, calling myself a dumbass. Like, how could you let this happen? This was a
Mhm.
couple months ago. And then I'm like, wait a second. All right. You can be angry and be anxious and like be in a rush and put that onto the kids. They have nothing to do with that, but you're going to be pulling them. They're going to feel that energy. Or you could
Mhm.
just, you know what? They're going to be late. What's the worst part? I have to fill out a freaking form and say that we were late because we overslept. Okay.
Yeah.
And like that kind of reset my patience. And I woke the boys up and I'm like, okay, daddy woke up late. We're really late. We have to brush our teeth, put on our clothes, and get out that door. And they're like, okay. And so they brush their teeth, they put on the clothes. We're walking out the door, and we end up being on time.
Oh
We
my
weren't even
god.
late. And I was like, what? And it was because of my approach being, from that place of that regulated nervous system that, okay, like I completely understand that yeah, they could be late, but that's not the worst thing that
Right.
to come out
At
of
all.
this at all.
That's funny you say that. That almost exact thing happened to me last week with him, with Silas. It was like I slept in his room. It was this past week actually. I slept in his room because he was having a nightmare or whatever. So I went in there. Well, my phone is in my room with my alarm. So I woke up an hour late because I just woke up and I'm like,
Mhm.
uh-oh. And then I was like, I didn't want to like put it on him, but I was like, we gotta move a little faster today. And I was like, we're for sure late. And we weren't. I was shocked. I was shocked.
It's amazing. And it's just like when
Yeah.
you just put yourself in the space of, well, it's either going to happen or it's not.
Yeah. What's the worst that'll happen if that's kind of, I mean, that's how I was growing up kind of too. Like, and that's kind of what I had a lot of resistance from my parents about. Cause I'm like, I'm very much like, okay, well, then I'll just deal with it. Like I didn't get all my assignments done last night. Like I could have freaked out and been stressful myself, but my normal thing is to just be like, all right, well, whatever. Like I'll just whatever. Like I can't push myself. If I can't do it, I can't do it. And it's not that I'm not getting shit done. It's like, I fucking can't do it. Like, it's just like, who can do that? Like, I'm like doing homework all freaking day. And I'm like, man, this is a lot, you know? Giving myself some grace. Such a different idea than before, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. The compassion and the grace that you give to other people
Yeah.
that you don't give to yourself. And then all of a sudden you start to give it to yourself, and it feels like you're being selfish, and it feels like you're being that arrogant, right?
Yeah.
And instead it's like, well, actually it just allows me to be human.
Yeah.
Am I human? I am human. Okay, so be human.
Oh shit. I mean, so well said, my friend. Perfection is held in the spaces left for imperfection. Oh my God, don't do this to me again.
This is a great one.
Perfection is held in the spaces left for imperfection. The sun casts a shadow, giving a perfect silhouette despite its darkness. Yep. Very nice.
Mm.
Oh my God, I love this.
No, keep commenting. Like,
I need
all of
this.
them are amazing. Like,
oh my God, I
yes.
love it. Anxiety.
And
yeah.
I recorded a podcast earlier today, and we were talking about how, you know, what your avoidance, and you're avoiding your feelings. And we're like, him and I were talking about like ritualized comfort seeking, like addiction, stuff like that. And I was like, how many people can allow themselves to rest, and they actually take everything and they put it, like, their entire meaning, and put it into productivity?
Oof.
If you're not being productive, do you feel like you're not worthy? You're not good enough. There's something you should be doing. There's all of this. How much of yourself are you putting into being productive?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that's me looking in this camera, looking at myself on the screen. How much of yourself are you putting into being productive?
Shit, man. I feel attacked again.
And it's just thinking about that. It's like, oh, damn it. Like,
I know.
You can know it, and it sneaks up on you still. And it's those things. And just allow yourself to be. You don't have to be productive.
God, I caught myself doing that like a couple months ago, really bad. Like a lot. I mean, not bad. See, I'm trying to stop saying good and bad, and it's so hard.
It is.
Oh.
It is.
So see, I forgot what I was gonna say because I get caught up in the good and the bad. Oh yeah, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna like watch TV and chill like I used to and be lazy the whole day. And I did, and I'm like, I'm not showering. So now I like to do that often. I like to not shower, chill, do nothing, work in my pajamas. Feels good. It feels right.
Good. That's what I was gonna say. And does that allow you to rest? Does that allow you to relax and
be myself?
Yeah.
Because that's me. That's true, Lindsey.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's not.
I love it. I'm very pleased with myself too. Like, I'm just chilling. And I'm like, you know, just me in my house. Like, we're good. I did it all day today. I didn't have to work today. I just dicked around all day. I did some working because I had to. I still didn't finish it all, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. You can just do what you can. And we put too much onto ourselves. So often we do that.
Oh yeah. And I'm not okay unless I finish everything or do this. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Not doing it anymore. Humans judge. Yes.
And what is a judgment? Insecurity that you're putting onto somebody else.
Ooh.
Or
I never heard that.
an insecurity that you're pointing out inside of yourself. Judgments come from a
Yeah.
place of insecurity.
Yep. You know what? What about when you think that people are judging you? When you're all fearful about it? Why do
Well,
you
when
think
you're
that?
fearful of somebody else judging you, that's an insecurity that you're pointing out.
Yeah, but isn't it so it's because, like, I feel I judge people and I judge myself. You know what I mean? So I'm, like,
And
automatically thinking everybody else is doing that, and it's like, "No, not" you know?
well, and there are plenty of people that are, right?
Yeah.
But it's a judgment is rooted in an insecurity. So even like
Yeah.
if people see me doing this, like, what are they going to think about me? Well, what is it you're worried about them thinking about you? That's the insecurity you're worried about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And when you are judging somebody else, you're judging from a place of an insecurity that
Mhm.
you're seeing about yourself in them. And so that's what you're judging about them. And so somebody's, wearing certain clothes that you wouldn't wear. Well, I can't believe they're wearing those. Well, why? Like, what does that have to do with anything of you? Well, I
True.
just, the people would say something about me and I wouldn't be able to wear that. So you don't think you can wear that. So that's why you're judging them for wearing those clothes
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't think you would look. And
Or
when
you're
you
not
start to
confident enough.
realize this stuff, yeah,
Mhm.
when you start to realize this stuff, you're starting to point out the insecurities you have inside yourself. It's like, oh, that I'm judging that. Okay, what is it that I'm judging? What is that
Mm.
insecurity I'm noticing? And sometimes you can find unmet needs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Oh
can
my
find
god.
wants that you didn't know. And all of a sudden, like, sometimes you judge people, oh, they're too happy. Why are they happy all the time?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are you judging in that moment, right? Like they shouldn't be they shouldn't be happy. Well, why is it because you're not happy? Because
Yes.
you feel
That's
like you
how I
shouldn't
was.
be happy?
How come they can be happy and I'm not happy?
Exactly.
That's how I was.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you, and they're this and that, and try to tear them down to other people to make myself feel better. I'll be honest. Um, I don't always notice it, but when I do, I honestly don't care. Like that's something I need to work on because I still do it sometimes. Is like when I'm like in a mood or something, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like when I get into that zone and I start doing it, so I don't really realize it and care in that
Mhm.
moment. But I feel icky afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, I get like a hangover emotionally, emotional hangover, bad. Same with
Mhm.
anger. Like it doesn't feel
Absolutely.
good.
And no, like what you're talking about is an opinion. Like, so knowing the difference between an opinion and a judgment, right?
Wait, what?
An opinion is something like you have an opinion about
Yeah.
something, right? But a judgment is like you thinking that you are right about how someone should be, right?
Oh.
Or you are right about how you should be. Like that's a judgment. So like separating out what a judgment is compared to an opinion, it
Hmm.
that matters. So and sometimes, judgment and opinion, it's tough to tell which one it actually is. Um, but if you can find an insecurity in there, like that's a judgment. Right. And sometimes something can start out as an opinion, but as you dig deeper, it's like, oh shit, this is a judgment.
Yeah, because like, why do I feel the need to say that person looks whatever or is whatever? I mean, it's to make myself feel better ultimately, I think,
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
because I don't feel good about myself.
Hmm.
Oh shit. Holding yourself in judgment means you have put yourself through a trial. Our best efforts should come forward to show our innocence from our own assumptive attacks, not being part of the prosecution of our insecure thought. Confused. That was a lot of words for me. Let me read the last sentence again. Okay, I got the first one. Huh. Okay. I think I get it. Interesting. Oh, no.
That
No.
is deep, like the
Very deep.
prosecution. Yeah. And no, like this is something that I've noticed across um a lot of different things. And it's just this is the way that I look at it. It may not be um
I think I'm lost.
it might not be 100% true all the time, but in my opinion, like 99% of the time, a judgment is based in an insecurity. And so, yeah, if you judge yourself as bad, what
Oh,
are you
yeah.
insecure about? Right?
Yeah.
What is the
That's what I would
insecurity
do.
inside of that? That you actually are bad.
Yeah. That was big for me.
Yeah. Like the insecurity is that like you deserve the bad things that happen to yourself. Like
Mhm.
that's what I held myself to, right?
Yeah.
So like if I held a judgment, yeah, that I was and there's opinions in there too that it could be. You know, my opinion is that I'm bad. Opinions can be wrong. You know, opinions aren't facts.
Don't be
And that's yeah. And then like resentments that I brought up earlier, you know, what are resentments? You know, you think you're angry and you're holding it against somebody else that they continue to do this thing. But resentments are anger at yourself. Why? Because you betrayed yourself, right? Resentments are actually rooted in self-betrayal.
Ooh, wait, say that again. Sorry. I was distracted.
Resentments, so like you know, resentments, you're angry at somebody, they
Yeah.
continue to do these things and you hold it against them like I can't believe they would do that, right?
Yeah.
It's that self is rooted in self-betrayal. That resentment is rooted in anger at yourself because
Is
you betrayed yourself.
yeah, do you think that's to do with, like, not having boundaries too?
Yeah, because
Like
you're angry at yourself that you didn't stand up for
yeah,
yourself. You're angry at yourself that you didn't um you didn't
that's what I would do.
you didn't set that boundary, right? You
Mhm,
didn't do something and it led to this happening.
mhm,
And so you're mad at yourself about it. And
yep.
no, yes, judgment does happen. I'm not saying you can eliminate judgments. But when you are mindful of them, you can start to use them to spot insecurities that you might not have otherwise been aware of. And then when you start to understand that judgments are rooted in that insecurity, you stop taking other people's judgments of you personally because you realize they're insecurities about them. And that
Damn.
just allows you to see, oh, you're in pain.
Yeah.
Oh, you're something. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt your feelings, but what it does is it allows you not to internalize it as true.
Well, I was just thinking when you're saying that, do you often get upset by, what other people say about you or think about you? Well, if you know what they think about you.
Not so much
Do you care what
anymore.
they think? Yeah.
Not so much anymore. There's moments and there's people whose opinions I value highly that I
Right.
care, right?
Yeah, me too.
But that's really valuing their opinion and not necessarily that judgment piece.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like that does get to me a little bit, but at the same time, if they don't ask me to understand, if they're putting something inside of them onto me,
Yeah.
it's still it hurts, but I'm not going to take that and hold it against myself. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because like, I used to take
base of
everything
my
personal. Oh, wait, what is
yes, that's right. Mine well. Yep.
the base of my yeah. Oh, yeah, I laugh because I'm yeah, I'm not there, but I think I know that the knowledge part of it, but it's funny because 'cause I'm like, yeah, how realistically, like, how close do I get?
Hmm.
Work in progress. Yeah, their judgment is just thought, especially someone that I don't know, I don't have any I mean, I don't think about people I don't think about, like, almost think it's like a compliment if they if they're insulting me. Like, you're thinking about me?
You're letting me live rent free in your head. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I love rent
Feeds my
free.
ego. I'm halfway kidding.
Oh, gonna start going down the path of ego death.
Oh no.
No, let's not go down that path tonight.
Not tonight. It's a long one.
It is. It's a good one. Such an amazing one. If you're at the beginning of your journey with emotions and feelings and like you don't understand the language, like I cannot recommend Atlas of the Heart enough for people. Like, it's a glossary of feelings and emotions for real. Like needs to be taught in high schools and grade schools. Like, oh, it's so good.
I'm gonna watch Inside Out, that movie. I think it's like a Pixar movie with Silas.
Yep. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. There's
science tell me to watch it.
I was watching it with my oldest, and it was, I don't know, it was like the 5th or 6th time that we've watched it. But at the end, you know, it's about a family that moves across the country and like things aren't the same. And at the end, the family's hugging and it's this really emotional part. And I look over at my oldest and he's like, his eyes are wide and he's starting to tear up.
Oh.
And then I look back and I saw like it was all the family all together. They were hugging and I'm like, I started crying because I was like, it's really beautiful.
Oh.
My oldest looks at me and he sees me having a tear come down. And so he just walks over with tears in his eyes and gives me a big hug.
Aww.
And we just shared in this hug. And it was like, that's something that would not have been possible had I not learned about my feelings and emotions and allowed myself to feel those. Like that's a beautiful moment that we shared of that connection. Mm-hmm. That whether he remembers it or not, and whether I remember it or not, you know, 20 years from now, that bond that grew there is going to continue. And so that's something that I don't take for granted. And I look at those moments and they're just, it would not have happened. It would not have been possible had I not learned that.
Yeah. Well, even like being able to be vulnerable somewhat now and intimacy, like, you know, fear of intimacy, like just with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't cry in front of you, my own kid. I can't cry in front of you, you know, if I'm not willing to just connect, you know, but people, you know, a lot of trauma and stuff, they struggle. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's beautiful. Like just like Silas saying I love you to me is like, I get all teary-eyed and shit. I get all excited. It's the reason, I don't know. He's the reason for the season. Yeah. Well, guys, you know what time it is. It's my bedtime. Legit. Like I go to bed at 9:30 or 10. Did you know that?
No. But I get it. Good.
I start to get tired right about now and I'm like, zzz.
Thank you for being here in your comments, Noel. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. Will you guys subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified when I go live again? I don't know if you can do it.
Mine doesn't. Dang it.
Everybody tries to do it and it doesn't work, but mine works. And then look, wait.
It's probably the host.
Wait.
When trying to do the balloons?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Is it this?
I don't know. Maybe it's. Oh shit. I don't know. Love you guys. We're gonna
go in, everybody.
We're gonna have a lovely evening. Going to sleep on a Friday night early, sober style. Love you guys. Thanks, RJ. We're doing this again soon.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
No, thank you.
Always. I'm always open to it. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, we're geniuses. Yes. Thanks, Elle.
Thank you, Elle. Bye, everybody.